Hello, I'm going to tell you a secret. Why are governments secretive first? But I'm going to tell you something. Shh, don't tell anyone, though. Don't tell anyone. I'm doing a podcast today. Shh. Stay tuned. You'll find out what it's about next. Hello, and thanks for tuning into PWD Allies podcast. My name is Brent Frain. I'm your host. I'm brought to you from Victoria, British Columbia, the capital region of BC. A little bit of overcast. We had some rain last night. Sun's trying to peek out. It's going to be a nice, lovely day. I think up to about 14 degrees today, maybe 15. Yesterday, I heard we got to 16 degrees at YVR at the Vancouver airport in the Metro Vancouver. Wow, imagine that temperature. Meanwhile, back east, they're getting some snow right now in Ontario, up toward Ottawa and areas like that. And I heard in Toronto, they had some snow coming down too. Meanwhile, we got to like 15 degrees in Victoria yesterday. Unbelievable in November. So joining me also is Neil Matheson from Surrey, British Columbia. Hello, Neil.
Hello.
And today we're going to talk about secretive governments. Why are governments so secretive?
And I'm just getting my notes ready here too, because we're going to be going rapid fire through a list here.
It's going to be a good little list that we got here, and I hope you enjoyed today's show. Yeah. While Neil's gathering up the notes on that, please subscribe, like, and share the content. I hope you enjoy the podcasts that you're watching. And also, we're putting out an episode for tomorrow for Remembrance Day, so check that out.
And we did record it just before this one.
We did.
So we did. But we're going to release it tomorrow. Yeah.
It's been a busy morning.
we try our best to bring out the content, right? But I wanted to make sure that we honor what tomorrow is, and that's why I said, like, I got in touch with you and I said I really want to honor what tomorrow is, but I said I don't want to try to cram it all into one show. So let's divide it up and have two segments, and so that's what we did. So
absolutely,
we're going to have a segment of honoring Remembrance Day tomorrow. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when you have an opportunity, anyone in your community, if you have the set tap to go to, definitely, go there, rain or shine. The soldiers didn't, the weather didn't stop them from going, and I think it's a day to reflect. To show respect to our fallen soldiers, mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, whoever fought in the war. Anyone, you can be called at any time to fight in the war, and the sacrifices, that they gave, and that we have what we have now. When I say, you can be called at any time to go to war. Hopefully that will never happen in our lifetime in Canada. I don't know. What I can tell you is, recession wise, that's not a war, but that's, economic downturn. I'm really hoping that it doesn't go into a deep recession or a depression. Like I mentioned, in the other podcast that you'll see, later today, regarding Remembrance Day, when I mentioned about what my mom went through, and, I'm hoping that we would never have to go through that. Anyway, with that being said, we're going to be going through a rapid fire through a bunch of lists that we've compiled.
Yeah, and like we always make fun of the getting into the DeLorean of Back to the Future, driving 88 miles an hour, and
you're going to see some serious
and going back in time, right? So let's go back in time, and sometimes what I've done before, of course, like when we talk about the clawbacks, we go back to 1994, and I'm not going to go all the way back to that. We're going to go back to 2001 though, and 2001.
But we could actually punch in the into the 1990s on the DeLorean to see.
Well, we could, but just for expediency's sake.
Yeah.
Because we're going to be basically going from year 2001 to year 2025, current year. Okay. So that's a lot of years to go through, and there's basically 7 points we want to get through, and we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna go through this fast.
Okay.
But it's important to know the secrets that are hidden from us. You know, one of the things that I forgot to do, Brent, and we can actually do that now.
Sure.
You know, on our last podcast, we had you versus AI. Remember?
Oh yes.
We had a show of you versus AI, and I was going to do this myself, but I forgot to do it. I was going to just copy and paste what Google AI says about these two things. I'm gonna give it to you, and maybe you can bring up AI and she can speak it, and we can interrupt her if we want to.
Sure.
But one of the questions I wanted to start with is, first of all, is what is democracy? What is democracy? I want to get a response about that. That's the first question. What is democracy? And we'll see.
Democracy is a way of governing where power comes from the people. It's about everyone having a say in how things are run, usually through voting for representatives.
Everybody having a say. Everybody having a say about how things are done, right? That's important. My next question of the AI is democracy done in secret? Is democracy done in secret?
No, democracy isn't done in secret. It's actually the opposite. Things are supposed to be open and transparent so everyone can see what's going on. Do you want to know more about how that works?
No, that's enough. But you see, even the AI knows that the democracy is for the people. It's for the people. It's for everyone. Democracy is for everyone, not for a select few. It's for everyone. For
but
all.
Why? But the question is I guess another question to AI would be, why is government being so secretive when it comes down to policies, like especially like people with disabilities, just for instance, because we're broadcasting on the PWD Allies podcast. So I just to quickly ask this question, and then we're going to leave it at that for now. AI, yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good question. It's tough when decisions get made behind closed doors, especially when they affect people with disabilities. Sometimes governments might keep things quiet to avoid public pushback, or because they think it's more efficient. But that secrecy can really hurt people who need those policies the most.
Yeah.
Well, especially when rates have been frozen for so many years, and cost of living and rates are not tied to inflation. But we'll get into that part another time when we have you on as a guest.
Yeah, let's get to our list here, Brent.
Yeah. No, thank you very much, AI. Take care.
I'm glad you found that helpful. Let me know if you have any other questions.
Okay, so our first thing on the list, when we go back in our time machine to year 2001, here in BC, and we're going to cover Canada a bit too. Like, you and I tend to be BC centric because we're both in BC. But later on, we're going to cover some Canada centric things. But we're going to start with BC because that's what you and I know. So here in BC in 2001, we had Gordon Campbell.
Oh, yes.
And everybody here that is old enough to remember, is that when he got elected, the NDP at the time got wiped out. The BC NDP got wiped out. They got down to 2 seats.
Right.
They got down to 2 seats.
Yeah, I remember that, yes.
And what was the result of that, Brent? They got down to 2 seats, and of course, when you have kind of absolute power, what's the saying? Absolute power corrupts absolutely, right?
Yeah, power grab, just total power grab.
And that's kind of what happened. So
no accountability. Then there's no accountability then.
Yeah, and one of the big things that happened, and it wasn't even a secret. I mean, it was trying to be a secret, but everybody knew about it. Everybody still knew about it.
Yeah.
Was that, we have these televised legislative sessions, where the general public can watch our legislature in action.
Oh, yeah.
But because of what happened with Gordon Campbell, and he walked away with basically the whole legislature and only minus 2 seats, he decided that, why even bother with the legislature? And it just became this whole performative theater. We talk about performative theater all the time, but in his case, it really was. Yep. So the only time government actually happened was behind closed doors. Like he's been on public record himself saying that, I ran government behind closed doors after the televised legislative session. So, he's actually gone on record and himself and said that.
Wow.
So you talk about secrets. Again, the legislature is supposed to be open and accountable, and yet here you have Gordon Campbell. I wanted to say Glenn Campbell, the singer. I don't know why.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But Gordon Campbell, he really let the power go to his head and said, "Well, we don't need no stinking legislature session," So it was all this, cabinet meetings behind closed doors where kind of all the stuff happened.
Yeah, I remember the sessions where they would say, "Oh, well, we don't need a fall session." There was nothing to talk about, nothing to go over bills or listen to people's concerns in their, in their constituency, what matters most to them. It was convenient, right? It was more theater rather than anything. It was,
Yeah.
There was always things that needed to be talked about in different sessions, like fall sessions. And I felt that over time that different premiers would do that. They would say, "Oh, well, there's nothing to talk about in the one session," and they would skip the fall and they would jump to the spring. Well, people would say, "Well, there's a lot of issues that are affecting me in my life and my constituency." Then that's why they have the elected officials that are supposed to represent your needs in your constituency to talk about these issues in the legislature and banter back and forth, doing a question period, and also pass bills, pass laws, or amend them or modernize them. If there's a problem with them, well, then go into committee stages. But no, they would say, "No, there's nothing to talk about." They would leave until the next session. And sure, they'd go back into their constituencies, and listen to concerns. But they can't do anything unless there's a session to go back into Parliament.
Exactly. All the actual real work is done in the legislature. That's where all the real work is done, right?
Exactly.
That's where all the heavy lifting is done.
Yeah.
And Gordon Campbell thought he could do it all himself, basically, and was like, "Who cares about the legislature?" I mean, that was almost the attitude, right? So actually, that was 1A. I have a 1A and a 1B. So
okay.
We're kind of cheating on this one. It's a 1A. So that was Gordon Campbell 1A, and then we can go right to a 1B.
Okay.
And again, this is BC Liberals again. After Gordon Campbell came Christy Clark, and that was in 2011 when she took over.
Yeah.
And
Gordon Campbell stepped down. Yeah.
And she had something called pay to play.
Oh yeah.
Pay to play, and they had something like that was 1,000 plate dinners. 1,000 plate dinners where if you paid $1,000, you'd have direct access to speak to Christy Clark at these 1,000 plate dinners. I mean, it just reeked of, again, like our governments are supposed to be accessible and accountable to everyone, right? To everyone, to all voters. And yet this practice says if you pay $1,000 for a dinner plate, that will give you VIP access to Christy Clark.
Oh my gosh!
Is
I mean,
that
that would be more than what a whole at that time. That would be more than what a whole PWD check was in a month.
yeah?
Imagine that, everybody.
Is that how our democracy is supposed to work, Brent?
No,
I
maybe it
don't.
was
I
maybe it
don't
was
think so.
monopoly money. Maybe it was monopoly money that she.
Yeah. Well,
That,
and let's finish off with a 1C, and I just wanted to throw this one in.
Sure.
Remember the hockey bags of cash,
oh yeah, oh yeah.
hockey bags of laundered cash, because the government at the time, again under Christy Clark, they deliberately turned a blind eye to all of this laundered cash that was happening through casinos and through illegitimate real estate sales.
I remember that time. Just to quickly reflect on that, I remember that was the time when she was in. I remember I was on the SkyTrain. That's right. I was taking a SkyTrain ride at the time, and I needed to use the restroom. And I was thinking, oh, like, a lot of these businesses, you'd have to go in and actually go in and, either buy something to go and use the restroom. And I already had lunch at home, and I wasn't thirsty, so I wasn't, I didn't need anything to drink. But I mean, I had to go use the restroom. I mean, so I got off at New Westminster Station on the SkyTrain, and I went to the one business. I said, "Can I use, your restroom?" And no, it's for paying customers only. I said, "Okay, well." And anyway, the restroom was busy anyway. Some people were in it. So first place I thought was, Neil, was, well, I looked over by the quay. In New Westminster, they have a quay there, a New Westminster Quay. Yeah. Beautiful area. And I looked over and I said, oh, there's a boat over there. Okay. So I went along, and I mean, it's a little journey of a walk. I mean, anyway, I made my way down that way, up these stairs, slowly up these stairs, along the walkway, over across the railroad tracks, and then down again. And then, of course, there's a walkway right there, and it was a little ramp right across onto this boat that was right there. And it was actually the floating casino.
Oh, right.
That was there. They had the boat there. Well, I mean, I had no interest in going there into the casino, but I mean, first thing I thought, well, they've got a restroom in there. I'm sure I can go and use one. I just walked in, just walked in and went to go and use the restroom. And no kidding, everybody. I went by and I saw this big hockey bag sitting there by some table. Not just one, four hockey
bags full of cash.
And I said to this one, after I used the restroom, I said, wow, is there like a hockey game going on or something? No, sir. And I saw this one guy. I was watching a couple people playing, and I saw this person unzip their bag from an angle, and I saw bundles. I thought, what the hell is going on? Pardon my language. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Bundles of money.
And like I said,
wow.
The government knew this was going on, and they hid it. They hid it from the general public because I guess the voters don't matter, Brent. Yeah. Democracy doesn't matter, and the voters don't matter. So let's hide everything away.
Yeah, and I've never seen that much money. I mean, all I saw was just a little tiny portion of the bag. The person reached out, I guess, to go and drop some money and buy in for chips at the table. And I was like, wow. I looked at, wow, you must have a really good paying job, I said. Yeah, something like that. The guy said
something like that.
He goes, carry on, sir. So I just mind my own business. I'm like, oh, and I always stuck in my mind.
I have a good job with illegal drugs.
Yeah,
and weapons.
I thought, wow. Yeah. And I mean, all I said to an employee is, there's something going on there? Yeah, nothing to worry about, sir. I mean, obviously they have good paying jobs. That's why they're here. I go, oh, okay.
And let's keep going, Brent. So let's go to number 2 now, and we're going to go more quickly. But this is the PWD bus pass, and this is still under Christy Clark's government. So this is still around. What was it? Around 2015, I think it was when they changed. I think it was 2015.
2016.
Okay.
Yeah, I had a memory on Facebook that popped up about a rally about bring back the $45 a year bus pass. It just reminded me recently about that. So just for our viewers, I'll give you just a quick rundown because we're rapid firing through all these.
Yeah.
So Sonia could relate to this. we knew, well, we still know, but we just not in contact with another advocate who joined us with a rally about restoring the $45 a year bus pass, and the rates too, but we'll focus on the bus pass rate this moment. Now, the Christy Clark government at the time decided that one of her ministers decided that it would be a great idea to to make it equal and fairness across the whole system for transportation to redo the bus pass program for people with disabilities. Seniors, no, they got to keep their $45 a year bus pass.
We're only blowing it up for PWD. Blowing up for PWD.
Blow up the program for people with disabilities, PWD. People in a rural area of British Columbia who don't have conventional transit. Maybe they have just a shuttle bus service, or maybe not even that. Some people have like a dial-a-ride where they would actually call up and then they would come down the end of their road and then they would walk up and catch the bus. And it was based on demand though. So anyway, the minister decided, I guess they had a closed-door meeting with the premier and the minister of finance and said, hey, I've got a great idea here. Let's get rid of the special transportation subsidy where a person was given $692 is what it equated to per year outside in a rural area. So that person could actually have that lump sum check, and that's what they had. They could go and buy car insurance maybe in a rural area, or they would go and pay a neighbor, say, here's the chunk of money. Can you drive?
There was nothing wrong with that system.
There was nothing wrong with it. And so basically the minister convinced the government and the finance minister and et cetera, to completely dismantle that special transportation subsidy and also take away the $45 a year bus pass and replace it with an option of having $52 for people within the urban area who had that traditional bus pass, and also in the area that they had this special transportation subsidy, they were given $52. So imagine people in an area where they don't have transit, where they had a lump sum, they could pay their neighbor, or maybe they used it for taxis, to and from. Great, right? They could just be more independent, autonomy-wise. They can make decisions for themselves, and more accessible. Like it was good for everybody all around. Now everybody in the rural area and urban area get $52 by default on their checks. If you don't want that $52 and you want that bus pass in the urban area, you can opt in and stay opted into a bus pass.
It's all about choices, Brent. Do you want groceries or do you want a bus pass?
So then you stay opted in and you get that bus pass. It could be almost equivalent. Now the minister at the time argued the point of that you could stay opted in and you could have the equivalent of that $45 a year bus pass. The only difference was you just don't pay that administration fee any longer. Seniors still do. Now the cruel part was the people in the rural area, $52 every month, but they still don't have transportation. You see? So is that
it was a real gong show.
But here's the icing on the cake. So when we did the advocacy on it, and we didn't realize what was going on. What happened here?
Oh, you're frozen?
It's just my screen. That's weird.
Brent is frozen. Hopefully.
Okay, you can see me though, right?
Yeah. Hopefully you come back.
Is there something popped up on my screen? It was just my phone was ringing, and somehow it actually came on my screen where it shows my phone ringing. It's kind of weird.
Oh, well, you're still frozen, but we'll pretend that you're not.
Okay.
We are. There you go. I'm back. You're back again. But let's go again. Oh, are you gone now, Brent? I think we lost Brent. Hopefully Brent will come back. I did want to go on to John Horgan. For the people that are in BC here will know John Horgan and will know about the COVID.
Okay.
Oh, you're back again now.
Oh, technical glitches
Okay,
there.
1 second. I'll bring you. I'll bring your window back up. Let me.
Okay.
Let me.
Technical glitches there, everyone. Yeah, that's weird. I'm gonna have to go
That's
through
your fault,
there.
Brent.
Somehow my phone rang and it actually interrupted on my screen, and it just showed me on my screen, nothing else, and it showed the number ringing on there, and
Wow.
and I can't answer on my device there, and I'm thinking, well, what the heck? And so I clicked hang up. Well, when I clicked on my screen, it actually hung up the connection on our podcast.
Oh wow, nice.
Not supposed to, so I'm gonna have to go through some setting. I don't know how that
Yeah, that's not
connected.
good.
That's really weird. Yeah, I've never had
But anyway, I was just about to introduce point number 3.
Okay.
I was going to go on to John Horgan when John Horgan took over in 2017, and then we had everything happened with COVID. We had the COVID shutdown, and I know you actually said, I don't know if I want to talk about this, Neil, because it's a bit too divisive. But I just wanted to throw it out there, even if it is divisive, and even if people are going to be pissed off at me or whatever. Oh no, Brent's gone again. This is not a good podcast, Brent. Oh wow. We have got gremlins going on today. Let's see. We'll wait for Brent again, and see if he comes back. Come on, Brent.
Gosh.
Holy cow!
Oh, again! This time I actually hit the screen, and it showed some lady on there.
What?
Yeah, it was some lady. I'm like, what the? And I just hung up. I don't know. Like it was, yeah, that's kind of weird.
Weird.
Yeah, I was
we're being hacked, Brent?
I don't know, but it was some lady sitting here with some beady old glasses, and then she's sitting here, and I just hung up, and I'm like, oh, that's really, I've never had that happen. No. Anyway, entertainment. I mean, wow.
Wow, this is like next level gremlins that we're having today, Brent.
Yeah, or we have a gremlin somewhere inside system here.
Anyway, so let's try to get back on topic. So John Horgan, it was 2017, and we had the COVID, and there was some real pressure to take the jab. I'll just say to take the jab, right? And I'll go on public record and say that I didn't get the jab because, and I think anybody that doesn't want to take the jab, I mean, you're entitled to your opinion, right? And my reasoning for it was, again, I'm gonna basically throw Evie under the bus a little bit because he's always one to say, well, those anti-vaxxers. Well, I'll tell Evie to his face, I am not an anti-vaxxer. I have vaccinated on everything under the sun. I have my son vaccinated against everything under the sun. I only chose to not vaccinate on this COVID because, and this is going to sound weird to some people, but it's because God told me not to. And I know there's a lot of people in different churches. I mean, there's some churches that say, oh, there's not a problem, go ahead and take it, and that's fine. But I personally know a lot of people that didn't take it for religious reasons, and I'm one of those people. I did not take it for religious reasons because in my spirit, it wasn't like I remember when we had that episode about how to be, or actually it wasn't how to be happy. I referenced it, but it was actually when we talked about John Horgan's passing. I talked about that one time that actually God actually did audibly speak to me. In this case, about the vaccine, God didn't audibly speak to me, but it was almost like he was really reprimanding me. Like again, it wasn't an audible voice, but I really felt strongly in my spirit that he was really almost chastising me and really reprimanding me. He's like, "Don't you dare take it, Neil." Like in my case, God was saying that. So I thought, well, I better respect God then. If God's telling me not to take it, I didn't know if he was telling me not to take it or if he was telling Jake not to take it. He was just saying, you better not take it. So I thought, well, I'm gonna respect God's opinion, and I'm not gonna take it. And I'll just say, like, whether people think I'm nuts or not, I know for a fact that there's lots of people that worked in the health, like, you know, for doctors and nurses and care aides and that they also refused to take the vaccine. And what happened, Brent? They were let go of their jobs.
They got fired, yeah.
And I bet you most of those people didn't take it, again, for religious reasons, because they felt that God told them not to do it. And like, kind of, how dare Evie or anybody say, well, you know, why are you listening to God? Just roll up your arm and take one for the team. Like Evie's actually said that, you know. He says, like, you anti-vaxxers, you just roll up your sleeve and take one for the team. Like, be a good citizen, you know. And I don't, like I said, I don't care if people think I'm crazy, but because there's a lot of people that were crazy and didn't take it, you know, again, for religious reasons, and it was a valid reason not to take it.
Well, one of the nurses in one of the local hospitals that we have in Victoria, she said one of her colleagues was let go during COVID, and you know, what if they basically, she said that basically the government is trying to recall them back in and rehire them back on. Meanwhile, they had not taken the vaccine.
Yeah, like our health situation. Are like what do you call it? Like, all of our doctors and nurses and everything, it's a big mess now because the government let go of it. Like, how many was it? Like a 3,000 people or something stupid.
Yeah, at least.
And then they hired a lot back, but they didn't hire everybody back because some people just said, screw it, I'm not coming back to that.
Or they left the province. Yeah.
They left the province and went somewhere else.
Or they moved on to...
now our province is worse for it because, you know,
the art closures and yeah,
it's you know, and again, like, everybody's entitled to their choice of whether they wanted to take it or not, and whether you think I'm nuts, whether people think I'm nuts for listening to God because God told me not to, I don't really care. I mean, it's just the fact that he did say that to me. So I'm going to listen to him. And there's lots of people in my same position that did the exact same thing. And I just think it's stupid where government overflexes and say, you better do this because we said so. And if you don't do it, we're going to fire every one of you. You know, and it's the thing that's wrong, and it's secretive to hide, you know, to say, well, like, we know that this vaccine is safe when it was never properly gone through all the testing. Like, everybody should know most vaccines.
I remember when COVID first came out. I mean, it was scary times where people didn't know if it was. They thought it was surface based. It was then it became airborne, or it could have been both. Or there was a lot of confusion. I know.
Yeah, there's like a lot of confusion, right? And
well, we were in Langley. I mean, we had to. I mean, they said it was surface based, so we had to go in with masks on, start wiping.
Remember they said it was surface based, and then they said, "Whoops, it's airborne." And then they said wear masks, and then they said don't wear masks because it doesn't matter. And then they said wear masks again, and you know they kept flip flopping on that. And they said, you know, that the COVID vaccine is really only needed for people that are elderly with low immune system, and you don't need it for kids. And then they said, well, actually, you do need it for kids. Like, they kept changing the goalposts on it so many times. You know, there was some people in Langley in our building that we were living in, and they were confused because they said, "Well, I thought it was surface based. No, it's airborne." It was exactly everything that you just mentioned. And I said, "I don't know. I said, you know." But anyway, what's the next? That could have been a whole podcast, but again, we won't do it.
Yeah.
But the next one is EB's Bill 7.
Oh,
His
yeah.
quest for power.
Yeah.
Bill, and after EB, we'll go. Like we promised, we're going to talk more about the Canadian government too. But we'll just briefly touch on EB's Bill 7.
Mm.
He wanted to flex on Bill 7 and say, "I need all this power."
And there's Bill 15 too. There's like
and Bill 15,
Yeah,
the ultimate power. So what was Bill 7, Brent? Like in a nutshell, what was Bill 7? It was to override the need for the legislature to bypass the need to debate things in the legislature. We don't need to debate things in the legislature. Just bypass it all. Right? That was a big part of it, right?
That's that's almost like having a majority, like a super majority government, and passing bills without
it's kind of what Gordon Campbell did, where he had that super majority with only 2 other seats that weren't his. Mm-hmm. And he said, well, we don't need the legislature. We can do stuff behind closed doors. It's sort of the same thing that EB's pulling now with this Bill 7 stuff, the super grab for superpower.
Well, or arrange to have, like, say, task forces to look at scenarios, and people get outraged and said, well, we don't need all these task forces. Well, they would ram through a task force or a bill for whatever reason because they wanted to. And like there was just recently again about secrecy, which was, I think, maybe one of our topics, but if it is, I'll quickly throw it in there. It was regarding about the tariffs, and it was about we just found this out, and I didn't even know anything about this either. But apparently it was already quashed 2 months ago. 2 months ago,
right? And
about a task force saying the BC government was going to be the best negotiator to do with tariffs, have a task force, right? And it quickly got kind of quietly pushed to the side. 2 months ago, secretive. Like, okay, why not let the public know what was going on? Because I thought people in my building, around the community, we were just recently talking about. Somebody had brought this to my attention just about 3 days ago. Said, well, I'm glad that they have a task force involved about negotiating, standing up for British Columbia about, taxes. Taxes is another, different word of tariffs. And I'm like, I'll have to tell that person when I see them that apparently, no, they got rid of it 2 months ago. They're going to be like, what?
And related to EB's Bill 7 a little bit is George Hyman was
George Hyman,
given a
he was a former
assignment.
LA, he was a former MLA.
Yeah, and remember when they hired him on, they said he's going to be hired for a maximum, wasn't it? $58,000 is going to be the very maximum.
4 months. For 4 months.
Yeah, and what is his salary now? It's almost approaching $200,000 almost.
Yeah, but they said the number could obviously climb.
It could go even higher.
But that's just for him.
And so that's that. I know. And so that's another broken promise of like, whoops, sorry about that.
But then there was the other. What was the other gentleman? They was going to study about homelessness.
Yeah.
And crime.
All these secretive assignments and
it was quietly
it was
revealed. Yeah, it was revealed there. But to the public, many months later. It's like, wow, and meanwhile, the government says they're broke, secretive. No, they're not broke, right?
So we've talked about EB's Bill 7, and that was number 4, and like I said, we're going to go through 7 of these. So let's go to number 5, and we're going to talk about more bills, but this is federal bills now. We're going to talk about the federal government, the government of Canada has just released its own set of bills. It's Bill C2, Bill C8, and C9, and they all have to do with the freedom of speech, basically. Where our federal government now is clamping down on freedom of speech and saying anything that is even remotely hateful is like a jailable offense, like this kind of thing.
I'll mention a little bit about those ones. The scary part about that, the freedom of speech, and I think most people can relate to this, and hate speech is not welcome anywhere.
No, it's not.
Yeah, I mean, and I think everybody can relate to that. I mean, regardless on what political party people want to vote for, I think everybody agrees with that. I mean, hate it doesn't belong anywhere. But if somebody's having a bad day, and they say, gee, I don't like, I really do not like the policy. Okay, and I'll use an example. I don't like the policy that the Liberal government, the federal Liberal government, I don't like the policy, or I don't like the policy that the Canadian Conservative government is throwing out there, or I don't like the policy of the and I'm not picking on any political party. I'm just everybody
like our own podcast. We could both be jailed, Brent. You and I could both be jailed for speaking our minds about kind of a weird pink unicorn policy. I always talk about pink unicorn policies, and if I say I don't like that policy because it's a pink unicorn, I could be jailed now. Yeah, it's like, how dare you, Neil? Jail time for you.
I'll give everybody an example. Okay, so on social media, if you go along on, say, Facebook, and you go and like a post, and you just and that person is hurt that you liked their post, there could be repercussions. You go onto what do they call it, Twitter or X, and you go and you say, I don't like that policy, or you say, or you ask a member of the Legislative Assembly in Ottawa, or any provincial government or territorial government in Canada, and you say, when are you going to raise the rates? Or people are suffering, or just a simple question. I was just curious on when your government's going to raise the rates for people with disabilities. If that member feels uncomfortable, but you ask that question, you think that the blocking you is bad? No, they can go the next step. If they really wanted to, if this bill gets passed, they could go and say, you made me feel very uncomfortable asking that question. They could actually go to have your ISP shut you down without even telling you. And seriously, they could shut you down. And I don't know if it would go to that degree, but they could, without your permission, because it would give them the power of contacting your internet service provider. As ISP stands for, everyone who probably didn't know that. I mean, most people do know that. And it doesn't even stop there. They can shut your phone down. They can shut your banking down. They can shut any of your social media stuff down. Yeah. And now you can't even speak out. You can't say, help, help. Why did they shut me down? And here's the worst part. You can go to your ISP, maybe in person, say, maybe go to a kiosk in a mall, because you wouldn't have any connection on internet. Yeah. Why did they shut me down? And they don't even have to tell you the reason why. And it doesn't stop there. I mean, they can shut you down, but now they can do repercussions against you too. So now we shut you down. Now we can go after you and imprison you for making a member of parliament or somebody feeling very uncomfortable. Yeah. I remember getting blocked by a former minister at one time. Why? At one time, years ago. And I had to phone up and I said, why did they block me? Oh, because I said I was just curious, as a self-advocate, when they're going to be increasing disability rates. I said, not just for me, but people in my community. I was just wondering if you could please answer that question for me. I put thank you very much. Mm-hmm. And I said, thank you very much. Well, guess what I got? I got a block. Yeah. And then I phoned up and the reason what? Because I made the minister feel uncomfortable by asking the word please, and I said thank you. Yeah. Like, really? Is that really what it comes down to? That people get blocked for answering a question about, and being polite? I mean, and I wasn't being rude. And
I can see if you're being rude is one thing.
If you're being rude, I can totally understand that. If you're being...
Again, Brent, we'd have to really fire through these. We're getting to the end of the hour, our time here. But
that's no fasting, everybody.
I did want to, so that's kind of a 5A. I have like two parters here. So that's kind of a 5A. And then we got the 5B is FOI request, which is our Freedom of Information request. Yep. And they hide a lot of stuff in that too.
Very secretive.
We could just kind of blow past that one, but that's a big one where they hide a lot of stuff in those.
In the FOIs, just really quickly on that, is So if a news hour or journalist, like a reporter, wants to gather information to do a news story, they go to the government and say, can you give me information regarding whatever topic they want to talk about. Now they have to request that information to FOI. They have to pay a fee. It's pay to play. They have to pay a fee. There was no fee before. Now there's a fee.
That's a way to keep democracy gated, Brent. You keep democracy gated that way.
And they have to hope that with the information that now they paid, that they're going to get a full report. It could be heavily redacted out.
Yeah.
So now they get it. Oh no, that's not all the information I need. Well, now they have to go back and pay again, or get them to get all the information out, the unredacted copy.
Yeah.
And by the time they get all the reporter or journalist or news hour station, whatever, or whoever it is, gets that information, it could be outdated, or it could be.
I used to do FOI requests, like when I used to work in government. I did, worked in government for 7 years, and the first 5 years, actually 7.5, I guess. For the first 5 years, I worked for the Ministry of Environment, and I handled a lot of FOI requests, and there was a lot of black ink, Brent. There was a lot of black. I was like, you can't say that. Cross it off. Can't say that. Cross it off. And there was a lot of black ink I was going through, Brent.
And
anyway,
getting a report, and then all of a sudden half the information is not there in your report, and you say,
Anyway,
next one.
I wanted to go back. So now we're on 6, and I wanted to go back to David Eby again, but David Eby is not the only one responsible. It's everybody under the sun is responsible for this. Is all of the mess now with First Nations and land claims. And again, this dates back at least like 10, 11 years at least.
Oh yeah.
But we have to say that basically David Eby and Nikki Sharma both kind of have pushed this over the finish line in a really bad, irresponsible, very destructive way, where fee simple private land title kind of no longer exists, or there's a real serious confusion over it now, all because of, like we said on the last podcast where we talked about tariffs. We had President Trump on the thumbnail with Eby, and we talked about the tariffs, but we also talked about this Cowichan land claim, and now there's this whole confusion over private land claim versus Aboriginal land claim, and it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter now because it's been like there's a lot of First Nations that are coming forward and say, well, we're not after private title, but it doesn't matter now, because what matters is there's a confusion now, and if there's confusion, you also confuse the banks, and if you confuse the banks, that means you can't loan money anymore.
Yeah.
And you can't apply for a mortgage anymore.
Well, you get mortgage brokers or any kind of,
and you can't get money for a business anymore.
Oh, yeah. It's just to let viewers know, it's not just residential; it's businesses too.
Yeah, businesses too are affected for sure.
I mean, it's not just isolated either.
Yeah.
There was a little blurb of information. Did you want to read that out at all, Neil?
Sure. Let's see if I can get back to that.
That little blurb that I sent you.
You sent it to my
messenger
there. 1 second.
Yeah. And then I have a little video clip I'll play for our audience after too. It was a little. It was just over a minute long. It was actually from Tom Isaac. He's the leading expert on Aboriginal law, and he was the former chief treaty negotiator for the BC government.
Yeah. So here's a post. Here's a post first from John Rustad.
Okay.
And so he's the leader of the BC Conservatives here, and so he issued a statement on Twitter. And he says, what we've just witnessed with the Cowichan decision is nothing short of a political disgrace. This isn't a legal technicality. This isn't a misunderstanding. This is a full-blown dereliction of duty by David Eby and his NDP government. And British Columbians are the ones paying the price. The judge herself stated, "It is notable that neither the province..." Now, everybody should listen to this.
Yeah.
The judge herself stated that it is notable that neither the province nor Canada took the position that the Crown grants of fee simple extinguished Aboriginal title to the claim area. In other words, your government didn't even bother to defend the foundation of your land rights. They left the field without firing a shot. Let's get one thing straight. The government didn't even try to defend you. Neither BC nor the feds argued that fee simple land grants extinguish Aboriginal title. This isn't a clerical error. That's a deliberate political choice. They stood down. They left the field. They left homeowners. They left small businesses, farmers, millions of ordinary people completely exposed. And then, if that wasn't insulting enough, they waited 6 years. 6 years of silence. And what do you get? Not a plan. Not a legal protection, not even a straight answer. No, you get a leaflet. He's talking about the leaflet they sent out, saying, "Well, we're sorry about that, but if you have problems with securing financing now from the bank, here's a leaflet." Anyway, it goes on, but I can stop. I can stop there because that's basically the crux of it there.
But wow, so basically, the citizens of BC. And that's just for that area. It could blossom, which I'm sure I'm hoping it doesn't, but it probably.
Yeah, everybody says, well, is this only limited to Richmond? No, it's not. It's not limited to Richmond because
everywhere.
Because the fact that the government did not argue for extinction, like we said on the last podcast where we had the President of the United States on the thumbnail with Evie. And I talked about the pink unicorn of you can't have two opposing things be right at the same time. One of them has to be wrong, but the judge argued that fee simple land title and Aboriginal land title can coexist, and they can't legally. It's impossible that they can do that, but the fault lies in the fact that EB and Nikki Sharma, the provincial lawyers and the federal lawyers, both did not argue for extinction when it came to trying to protect private land title, and they should have, and they did not do it. They did not do it.
Yeah, and this is the federal government too.
Everyone's to blame, Brent. You can point the finger to all the politicians.
All successive governments.
They're all to blame.
So here's a clip. One of the news reporters from Global BC, Jordan Armstrong, and thank you, Jordan, for that extended interview that you did. If you can, anybody wants to watch the extended interview, just go under Global BC, and maybe they'll have that posted under there. But it was the actual full extended interview was on the 9th of November, the 6 o'clock news. They had the whole extended interview of Tom Isaac, the one that the video clip I'm going to show you.
He's the lawyer. He's the Aboriginal lawyer. Yeah. Yeah,
and this is just over a minute long here clip. But the full interview, like he says, it's on Sunday's Global BC News. He says he sat down with him for an extended interview, but he said, here's a preview. So I'm going to play you the preview. Hopefully, if the video doesn't come out properly, at least you'll get the audio, but here we go.
People say, well,
okay.
I've heard a lot of people say, well, look, the First Nations not coming after the land. The judge didn't invalidate the titles. That is true, but it's missing the point. That isn't the point. The point is the statements of the court in at least 6 different paragraphs where the court expressly states that the Land Title Act, the core provisions of indefeasible title, do not apply in the case of Aboriginal title. The challenge with that is that leaves British Columbia, so far as I am aware, as the only Western economy on the planet where you can't take indefeasible title to the bank. That in fact, your indefeasible title is now defeasible. This obviously needs to be corrected unless we are prepared for some form of new way to hold title. in British Columbia. And of course, that's a much bigger issue.
So what you're saying is the fears of the property owners in Richmond and elsewhere and investors are valid.
Completely valid. And again, that doesn't mean that the sky is falling today. There's a lot of talk about fear-mongering in that, and I think we should try to stay from fear-mongering on both sides. But we also have to be accurate and tell the truth about what's in the decision. At the local level, the message was
Yeah.
And so, it comes down to the fact that, again, this is both a federal decision and a provincial decision, where I think it was EB way back as far as 2019. He told the provincial lawyers explicitly. He said, "Don't flex, don't argue extinguishment of title, because I don't want to offend. I don't want to offend any First Nations." Because I don't want to offend any First Nations, I don't want to create any bad stigma. Let's not argue for extinction of Aboriginal rights when it comes to private land title or fee simple land title. Let's not argue that. And because he didn't, and because Nikki Sharma didn't, and because the federal government didn't, I mean, they're all guilty. They're all guilty because they didn't do that. Now we're in the mess we are. And I just have to say that, EB tried so hard not to offend anybody that now he's offended everyone. Now he's literally offended everyone, and he's put the whole province, literally the whole province and the whole country potentially now in chaos, because this decision now not only affects BC, but it'll have repercussions for all of Canada now.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I remember in a news brief, one of the questions was, there was a gentleman in Richmond, British Columbia, said that he had gone to his financial institution and they denied him to get to redo his mortgage.
Yeah.
But David Eby he had said, he had no proof, that there was no proof that happened. He said it was probably isolated, maybe, right? But the question is how many people is that happening to that maybe they haven't come forward? Maybe they're so in shock that they don't know what to do. I mean, I'm curious. I'd love people to maybe send us comments on
one part of the interview with that lawyer that you just played.
Yeah.
One part of it that you didn't actually play, he actually says the genie is now out of the bottle. Everybody's familiar with that saying, that genie is now out of the bottle. Once you get the genie out of the bottle, you can't stuff the genie back in.
Yeah, that was just the preview section, but the full one is on the news hour, and like he mentioned, once the genie's out of the bottle, you can't put the genie back in.
Yeah.
So I really encourage people to to get a hold of that. If we can find it, the full episode, I'd be more than happy to
I listened to most of it. I think I did get the whole thing somewhere.
I mean, but the lawyer did specify that, and I want to make sure I let our audience know, it is successive governments. He stressed the point, successive governments. He said, so this didn't just happen. It happened over a long period of time. Yeah. And again, secretive. Why?
And remember, we started the show talking about. We asked AI. We said, "What is democracy?" Yeah. And she said that democracy belongs to everyone. Right. And I said, "Is democracy in secret?" And AI said, "No, you don't do democracy in secret." But apparently now you do, right? You have, like we said on the last podcast, a couple podcasts ago, we talked about the fact that there's 6% of our BC population is Indigenous, is First Nations, and God bless them. Seriously, God bless them. But if you have 6% of our population is Indigenous, it means 94% aren't. And the idea that the government for 11 years went all in on 6% of the population and basically locked out the other 94% and said the other 94% of our voting public, the ones that voted the government in, don't matter. Is that democracy, Brent? Is that not keeping secrets?
And I wonder how that's going to have a play out on the next BC provincial.
It's going to be a mess. I hope. I don't think it's going to happen, but I hope EB actually goes down to 2 seats. Let's be real. It's not only him. That's like we said, it goes back like 10 or 11 years. But again, let's be also real and realize that it really is EB and Nikki Sharma that actually accelerated this and pushed it over the finish line. I mean, one of the what do you call it, metaphors that I can talk about is, when you have a fireman come onto the site or a fire truck come on the site and said like, how did this fire start? And the fireman almost said, well, there was obviously some sort of accelerant, like some fuel that, and somebody lit some fuel and that accelerated the fire. Well, that's basically what EB did by ignoring the guardrails of our land title, of our BC land title, of our provincial land title laws. Again, these are provincial land title laws. By completely ignoring them and by completely ignoring 94% of the voting public and say, well, they don't matter. By doing that, he's basically accelerated a huge mess where like I said, by trying not to offend anybody, he's basically offended everyone.
Well, I guess the question I have would be is, so if the provincial lawyer or provincial court states, what is mentioned, that it's like basically saying the BC and Canada did not act, like they did not act on this. I guess the question I would have is, why, if the premiers, successive governments knew what the provincial court said, why didn't they do something? Like, why did they wait so many years? And then I don't know, either keep it secretive from the public. I mean, they knew eventually that this information would come out.
And this is why this episode's important. This is why this episode's important, Brent, because again, we're going to release an episode that we did earlier today, but we're going to release it tomorrow about Remembrance Day. And again, just think about kind of what an insult that is. You had people that literally died for Canada, put their lives on the line, sacrificed their lives for Canada in the First and Second World War, and maybe even like Vietnam. I don't know.
Yeah, there's other wars that went on. Tragic.
But you have all these people that literally died for Canada and for our freedoms.
Yeah.
And now it's like, for what? For our governments to lie to us, and say, well, let's do a whoopsie, let's do a mulligan, let's burn everything down to the studs. And reverse 157 years of Canada Confederation, because we can invalidate it. We can invalidate it now because nobody owns anything anymore. Like, well,
especially when we mentioned about our freedoms, and if that bill that bill that the government goes through, I mean, if you could say lest we forget.
Yeah.
I
think the government has forgotten. I think the government has forgotten.
But the scary part is that if that bill got passed forward and somebody says, lest we forget on Remembrance Day, and somebody says, different political decisions, and then a member feels bad, feels that you said something wrong, you're going to get silenced out for basically speaking out on Remembrance Day on how you feel or whatever it is. That was going to be a real mess. But I want to thank everyone for tuning in.
We did have quickly one more Brent, and you're the one that requested this one. It's number 7, and it's an unwillingness to move away from legislated poverty by both the federal and provincial governments. this unwillingness to move away from legislated poverty for people with disabilities. And we don't really have to talk about it much because we've talked about it all the time. But that's another one that's kind of this almost this inside joke where the provinces have this inside joke and the federal governments have this inside joke of like, isn't this fun that we're keeping people in legislated poverty on purpose? Isn't this fun that we're doing this, right?
Yeah. Well, exactly,
and we're keeping things secret. We're not telling them why we're doing it, but we're just doing it anyway.
You know, and because I mean, it hurts people and their families, their allies all around them. You know, maybe I should ask Gemini that question. Why does government? Yeah. So here we go. Hang on. Internet volume. There we are. Oh, okay. So the question is.
Well, you can say it, Brent.
Why does government in BC and in Canada like to keep people in legislated poverty, or persons with disabilities?
Government in BC and Canada often point to various reasons for the level of support they provide to people with disabilities. They might mention budget constraints, the complexity of addressing diverse needs, and the ongoing work to improve accessibility and inclusion policies. Are you interested in learning more about specific policies or the historical context?
Legislated poverty. It's just unacceptable that anyone in Canada should be living well below a basic standard of living in Canada, where they can't pay the rent. They have to choose between paying bills, buying food, or paying rent. It's just really very upsetting, and it affects the person's physical health, their well-being. It puts more strain on our healthcare system. They're not being more inclusive in society. They're not able to participate academically in so many ways. They have to choose between a bus pass or basically having food. It's isolation, social isolation that has to be modernized and changed so that people can basically thrive the best way they can on their own well-being, for their own well-being, because every disability is different than everybody else's disabilities. They could be the same or maybe severe or not as less. And I don't do the divisiveness, because each person has their own disability that affects their own self. So that's the way I can word it.
That was a lot, Brent. I think you're going to confuse the AI.
Oh, AI is thinking. Oh,
my apologies. It sounds...
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, repeat.
No worries. What was the last thing you were mentioning?
Legislative poverty.
Could you explain what you mean by legislative poverty? Are you referring to poverty caused by laws or government policies?
What I was just talking about government deliberately keeping people in legislated poverty for political gain.
Your questions are too long, Brent.
The idea that governments deliberately keep people in poverty for political gain is a complex and controversial topic. Some people believe that policies can be designed to maintain a certain social structure or ensure a voting base, while others argue that policies are intended to help everyone, even if they don't always succeed. What are your thoughts on why this might be the case?
Can I just finish with one last question again, Brent? Like, let's go back to that first question I asked about does democracy happen in secret? I want that restated again as a bookend. We did it at the beginning of the show, but I want to do it a bookend again at the end. Mm-hmm. Should democracy happen in secret? Yes or no?
Democracy generally aims for transparency, so it's not typically conducted in secret. However, some specific discussions or decisions might be kept confidential for various reasons. Would you like to explore why certain aspects might be kept confidential?
That's fine. But we'll talk more on another podcast when we have you on as a guest, or we may ask you from time to time regarding...
I like the first answer. she did it at the beginning of the show where it's just like, yeah, democracy is not done in secret.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Gemini.
Yeah. Anyway, we can punch out now, Brent. We covered all 7. We covered all 7.
All 7.
We went a little bit long, but not too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed today's episode of PWD Allies podcast. Stay tuned to our next episode, and enjoy your day. Take care, everyone.
Cheers.
Bye.